Good morning, Year 5s. It's a rather grey dull day today, but it is Tuesday and it is our maths. So, here as I do now, I'll also go through the answers for your fractions, decimals, percentages as well. So, let's get started with our do now. Again, I've given you a slightly tastier angles question today. The first one's alright. So the first one, you've got two angles, you're missing K. You should be spotting it as 360 here. There's one full turn. So 160 and 90. Well, you want it to make 360. So 160 and 90. That's going to be 250. So what's left over? 110. There's your answer there. That one should be nice and simple. This one here, I put on because I wanted to, again, have a little chat to you about it. And I've drawn it really small there. I'm going to draw it bigger for you. I'll do it down here. It's just a triangle, isn't it? Pretty much. There. Can you see that one? That's better. So, you've got 60 degrees here. We've got I, and we've got 2I. Now that could be X, that could be bananas, that could be Z, that could be M. Okay, it doesn't matter what the letter is. You know, first of all, you're looking at this and you're going 2I, oh my god, what? Well, let's stop a minute. We know it's going to equal 180 degrees. And we've got 60. So the first thing we know, if we take 60 away from that, we've got 120. Okay, so these two here must make 120. Okay, using what you know you can work out triangles, you've got one angle, so what's left? The next thing you actually do know is that we've discussed it. I'm not going to say that we've done loads of work on it, but when we were doing area, perimeter especially, you know what, or you in your brain somewhere, we've discussed what that means when a 2 is next to a symbol. Okay, so I'm just going to say, when we're doing perimeter, when it was 2L add 2W, it made the perimeter, didn't it? 2 lengths. Okay, so 2I just means it's two lots of them, 2 lots of that. Okay, so if ever you see something like this, it means whatever the total of I is, this one is worth 2 of them. Okay, if you don't get that, that's fine. This is just a little bit of extra teaching. If you do get that, well, what you should be realising is, hang on a minute then, I've got 2 angles, but I've got 3 lots of I. I've got 2 there and a third one there. So if you divide 120 by 3, now to find this normally, if that was just I and that was X or whatever, you just halve that, wouldn't you? Divide by 2 because you've got 2 angles and there'd be 60 and 60. But you need to divide by 3 because you've got 2 there and 1 there. So you can either do 3, or you could take the 0 off and think, right, what goes into 12 3 times? Which would be 4. Bung the 0 1, it's 40, but we will check. 3's into 1 doesn't go. Put the 3 there. 3's into 32. Hang on, I've had a complete meltdown. Carry the 1, sorry. It's very early in the morning, Year 5s. 3's into 12 is 4. 3's into 0 is... I'm sorry about that. I've not even had a slurp of my cup of tea. That's what went wrong there. I'll show you my mug in a minute. Right, we'll try that again, shall we? So, it should be 40. My apologies. So, 120 divided by 3 is 40. So that means that I here is 40. But that means that 2I is 80. Okay? So there you go. Dipping into the realms of some basic algebra. Just things representing numbers, essentially. But we have talked about what it means when there's a 2 there. Right. 33 times 1,000, we've got 3 zeros. So let's put our 3 zeros. There we go, 33,000. 0.2 divided by 10, It's got 1 0, so we're going to move it 1. So it becomes 0.02. And then £35.55 times 10, 1 0. So move it along. That's going to become £355.50. Because remember, afterwards there's lots of zeros. So there we go. Rounding this to the nearest 10. So we're looking at our 10. So let me put our tens, hundreds, thousands. We've got our 10,000s there as well, haven't we? So if we're looking at our tens, look at the 10. Don't care about the rest of the number. Look at the one before. It's 9. It's going to get rounded up, isn't it? The answer is not 10. It is 12,910. 10 is nowhere near that number. Nearest 100. Right, we're looking at 100s now. So we've got a 9 there. Our 10 is a 0. And actually, if you look at the full one, 909, well, which one's that closer to? Which 100 is that closest to? It's going to be 900, isn't it? So 12,900. And then the nearest 1,000, so we'll cover up the 10,000 one. So we've got 2,000. Let's look at the one before. It's a 9. So it's 2,900. Well, that's very close to 3,000, isn't it? It's closer than 2,000. So the nearest 1,000 is going to be 13,000. There we go. This one here, let's have a look. So we're estimating. Don't want to calculate it, but something I can do quickly in my head. Well, I can make that, round that one down to 30, round that one up to 80. Take the zeros off. 8 times 3, 8, 16, 24. Bung the zeros back on. It's roughly 2,400. Feel free to check it once you're done. And then we've got, this one. I'll tell you what, we could just round that one to 10, couldn't we? We can times by 10. We just bung a 0 on the end. 4, 4, 0 on the end. There you go. Lovely. Right, apologies for that pause over here. I had a little bit of a brain blank, which I'm sure we are all having a little more of at the moment. Just a quick look at our actual task. Now, you should recognise this task because it was very similar, actually, if not the same, as the task we had a couple of months ago now, where we converted fraction decimals to percentages. Now, don't forget, because we had some of this as homework as well. Some of us tried calculating. There's no calculations required. It's number patterns. Okay, it's pattern sniffing. So if you know that that's 0.48 as a percentage, you know that's out of 100. Percent is out of 100, so it's 48%. You don't need to divide by anything. It's simply look at the number and thinking, right, okay, that's that. You can work. There are calculations to do, but they're unnecessary calculations. Oh, this is my mug, by the way. Oh no, you can't see it. It's a Mickey mug. So, it's one of my favourite mugs. A quick look at some of the answers. Now, on the screen, oh dear, I'm not on it this morning, guys. Alright, so on the screen I put here, complete all the tasks providing fractions, decimals and percentages for all of them, just so we can flip between all three. Okay, so, if you haven't done that bit, pause the video and make sure that you get all three if you can. I'm just going to run through some of them. Your exercise book could look very similar to this. Okay, I know we're trying to, we're not all got printers and expect to print it off. I'm trying to give you things that you can do in your book. You can easily sketch this out. So, we've actually got our decimal here. We've got our 1, we've got our 0.5, we've got our fractions. So what we're missing is our percentages. So we should know that half is 50%, that should just be fact by now. And when it is full, we've got the whole thing, it's 100%. Boom. Next one. We can start using some help from this first one. So we should know 0.5 is 50%. Also, this fraction is half as well. So that one's 50%. We know that this one's 100% because we've got all of it. We've got 4/4, we've got 4 quarters. I'm going to say this in year 5, we've banged on too much about it to forget this. You should just know, these should just be facts. If you do not know, if you cannot do any more of this sheet, this is the thing that you should have been able to do. If not, you need to take a mental picture of this and you need to get this completely stored in your memory. Okay? 0.25 is a quarter, it's 25%. 0.5, half, 50%. Okay, let's move on. So, over on these ones, I was nice today. I gave you all the decimals for your fifths. That's too nice of me. We know this one's 100%. But when you look at the rest, 0.2, well that, all these numbers here are in the tenths column. Okay, so we know we're working with our tenths. So that's going to be 20%, not 2%. Okay, so follow the pattern up. If 0.2 is 20%, 0.4 is going to be 40, 60, and 80%. Okay, they're not 2%, 4%, 6% because that would be 0.02. It's all about your place value. I could start talking about how you have to times by 100 because your percent. We don't need to do that. Use place value, and you don't need to calculate for these questions. That's in the tenths. It's not in the hundredths. So I've got 20%, not 2%. I can do this one a little bit wrong. I ran out of room, but it's all our tenths here. So again, that's a big fat clue. So that's going to be going up in tens, isn't it? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%. And because you've done the previous one, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, they're all just the tenth. Okay? If you move on to the next ones, you've got a section that says convert to percentage. So I think you've got 0.48, 0.49, 0.50 and 0.5. So it's 48%, 49%, 50%, and also 50%. Remember, 0.5, there are zeros after it. You just don't need them. They're not placeholders. They're not doing anything. So that is still 50. Okay, that is not 5%. And I know I'm going to have caught some of you out there. Obviously, I wanted all three doing. You could have put 50 hundredths. You could have just put half. Either is right. So I'm going to write both for you there. Oops. You could also have 5 tenths for that one. Okay. Same with the other ones. It's convert to decimals though. So, can you see that? There we go. Sorry, I've written everyone on the page today. 32%. Well, that's going to be 0.32. Because if up here is 48% and it's 0.48, 32% is going to be 0.32. Use the stuff around you. 0.31, 0.30, or 0.3. Remember? 3%. That is where it is 0.03. You've got 3 out of 100. Okay? If you pretend these aren't decimals for a minute, that's your ones column. That's your tens. I know that's not right technically, but that's maybe how you might need to think about it if you're still not quite getting this. The rest of the sheet, I didn't write out, but because I could probably just quickly point at it. So, there we go. Fill in the missing symbols. Less than, greater than, or equal to. So 1/10, 0.75. We should know what. Always work with the same thing. Some of you might be able to look at that and go, oh, that's bigger, that's less. Some of you might not. So decide, are you going to work in fractions or decimals? Now, if we try and change that to a fraction, we could be 75 over 100. You can't put it over 10. So let's make that one a decimal instead. So 1/10, I know that's 0.1. Well, that's a lot less, isn't it? So that's going to be less than. 0.5 and a fifth. Ooh, okay. Now we've had a fifth. We had a fifth up here. And I gave it 0.2. So 0.5 is bigger. And you go through and you just decide, am I using decimals? To be fair, I'm looking at all these. I'd probably make most of them decimals. 0.8, 4/5. Hang on, we've got fifths up here. Equal to. 0.4 and a quarter. Well, I know a quarter is 0.25. So 0.4 is bigger. You should know they're the same. And you should know that half is bigger than 0.2 because half is 0.5. And then, a little challenge at the end. Another little challenge at the end. Can you order all those numbers? I remember when Lydia did this in class, she decided to make them all the same. I think she actually decided to make them all decimals. She might have made them all fractions, actually. I think she made them all decimals because you had some fifths and some quarters. So she made them all decimals. So that one became 4.25. That one became 2. That one became 3.2. That one became 4. and that one became 1.6, I think. I think she made them all decimals, and she said it was dead easy. So, good luck with that. Hope you had fun. And remember, the only really biggie thing for today, that was new, a little bit of teaching. Everything else should already be some connections, some strong connections in our brains for all of that. So well done. Fantastic, guys.